Hey everybody, Christopher Small here from CMS Law Firm. It's like 11:30 at night. We have survived day one of Snowmageddon. So hopefully, if you're watching this in the future, this is going to be dating me. That's why I'm not wearing a suit, and it's why I look frazzled because I've been chasing my 3 kids around all day in the snow with the dog, and it's been quite the day. So now, but I didn't want to let a day go by without climbing on here, getting on the lives, and talking a little bit of estate planning. And I thought, you know, what better thing to do today than talk about typical distribution schedule for revocable living trust. And this is probably, the schedule I'm going to tell you about is probably the most, the most typical, the one that I see from the most clients. And it's because it kind of makes sense, it's easy, and it's probably the sort of the safest structure that people put together. And so what I'm talking about is if you are the client, we're talking about how the assets that you have in your trust are passed down to sort of the second layer of beneficiaries. Most often this is going to be your kids. So whether this happens now or in 30 years when you die, this is the type of distribution structure that we're talking about, okay? So it's pretty straightforward, and we're just gonna run through it. So the first part is, up until, typically the way it works is, let's say you have kids that are under 18 years of age, or under 21, under 22, whatever your number is. Typically, until they reach at least the age of 18, mostly it's like the age of 21, there are distributions only for support, health, maintenance, education. These distributions are discretionary on the behalf of the trustee. So basically what happens is when the kids are under 18, the guardians would send a request to the trustee. They would say, hey, you know, the kid's going to like a special cool kid baseball camp and he needs $5 grand for lodging, for travel, and for the camp. And the trustee would cut the check. Then the guy would say, well, we've got, even though the kid can't sing, we want to put him on the voice, and so we want to hire voice lessons out at, you know, $1,000 an hour. And the trustee would say, you're crazy. We're not doing that. Kid can't sing, so we're not going to waste money on that. So these are kind of discretionary distributions that we're talking about. Up until typically 21 is what you'll see. All right. Then once we hit 21, we see a shift a little bit. The first shift is that the income that's generated from the trust is distributed out to the beneficiary every year on an annual basis. So the easiest way to sort of describe this or demonstrate this is if there are rental properties inside of the trust, that rental income that's created over the course of the year will be distributed directly out to the beneficiary. If you had stocks or other securities that issue a dividend every year, same thing. So that money gets kicked out, and then it gets kicked out to the beneficiary. Okay. Then on top of that, you're also going to have your discretionary distributions. So if the kid's going to school, if he's starting a business, if he's got health problems, these type of things would typically be available to the beneficiary, but would be allowable at the discretion of the trustee. So we have that. Then we have a third layer, sort of, that happens as the kids start to reach certain ages. And the idea of waiting until they reach certain ages is, A, they have some time to let this trust and the fact that these assets are in this trust to percolate. Second, as people get older, they just, you know, they get more experienced, they get wiser, they become better able to make decisions based on rational thought and not, you know, their whims and desires, or their girlfriend or their friends, right? So typically what we would do at this point then is when somebody reaches the age of like 25, this is a very typical number, then in addition to the discretionary distributions, in addition to the income distributions, now we've got distributions to the beneficiary at their request in writing. So if you know, they turn 25 and they say, hey, I would like $10,000, they get a check for $10,000. Okay, that's just the way it works. The reason we don't just do outright distributions at this time, there are a couple of reasons. But the biggest reason is, while the money remains in trust, it remains relatively safe, particularly if there is a trustee that is not the beneficiary acting in this scenario. So for example, 25, you get married and you don't pull that money out, you get divorced, everything in that trust remains safe. You get in a car accident and you have a lawsuit pending against you, everything in that trust remains safe. Okay, so there's some safety there. That's why we allow it to be distributed at the request of the beneficiary, but we also don't require a distribution outright to them so that they can go and muck it up and lose it all. All right. Then 25, so then we have typically another distribution at 30, a third, and then the final third or the entirety of the trust is available to the beneficiary at the age of 35. Okay, so at that point in time, they can just ask for the whole thing if they want. They can ask for nothing, just let it ride, and then have it carry on down to the next generation, successor generations, and that's it. So there's your sort of trust beneficiary distribution 101. Okay, that's the vanilla, sort of the way that a lot of people do it. It's the way that a lot of our clients do it. We encourage them sometimes to make some little subtle shifts and some subtle changes depending on what their family values are, what their kids are actually like in real life, and then what's important to them, right? So there's always some little minor tweaks and changes here and there, but for the most part, that's how we're rolling on a sort of just a vanilla, typical trust, revocable living trust distribution schedule. All right, that's it. If you have if you like this, by the way, this is how we wrap it up. If you like this, hit the like button. If you know someone that is interested in this, hit the share button. If you want some help, you can go to cmslawfirm.com/strategy session and just book a time to talk to me. It's free and it's amazing. I'll answer all your questions. I'll take as much time as you need. And I guarantee you when you're done, you will know a couple things. A, you'll know the options that are out there for you and your family. B, you will know the benefits and the consequences to each of those decisions. And C, you'll probably have an idea of what you want or need to do for your family. So why not give it a run, right? It's super simple. cmslawfirm.com/strategy session. We'll get you there. All right. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for your time. We made it through the day, through the night, and hopefully the roads sort of soften up a little bit for everybody tomorrow so we can get to work and not be cooped up inside. All right, that's it. Thanks so much. And like I said, talk to you again tomorrow.